record on this computer. Here we go. All right. Welcome everybody to the second MESA Company Convo session. My name is Tom Ahn, and I'm the Executive Director of MESA California Statewide Office at the UC Office of the President. As you hopefully already know, this monthly series is an opportunity for MESA students to connect directly with folks who work in industries and companies that you all might want to become a part of. And you get to do this in an intimate small group setting. This is your chance to ask all your burning questions. So please share on social and give Oracle and MESA a shout out using the hashtag MESA Company Convos. And we will share a survey link at the end of the session. So we would love to hear your feedback so we can tailor it to your needs and improve each time we do this. So definitely keep a lookout for all the monthly Company Convos invitations in your inbox. During this session, feel free to use the Q&A or chat function to ask your questions, as I think Danielle has asked you to do already, and some of you have already started doing that. Let's test it out though. Can everyone add their school to the chat? Just so we get a sense of who's here. All right. Oh, Sac State, very much in the house, as always. There's Sebastian, we saw him yesterday. Great. All right, so first off, I want to thank Tzel Ramos for joining us today. Tzel has volunteered at the Student Leadership Conference and was very eager to continue to engage with MESA students in this format. And as her bio says, she's always learning, teaching, and sharing kindness whenever she can. She's a doer and a thinker, and her superpower is that she gets things done very well. She graduated from Mount Holyoke College in Massachusetts and was the first in her family to complete a bachelor's degree in this country. She studied biological sciences, but is now working at Oracle as a senior program manager, which means that she's a critical thinker, a problem solver, and a learner of technology, and has the ability to explain something complicated in simple terms. So please now use your chat feature to welcome Tzel Ramos, who's your speaker for today.
Thank you, Tom, for that introduction. So thank you, everybody, for having me again at your activity. What I wanted to do was not just answer questions, because I'm sure you'll want to ask me how to apply or get a job at Oracle, but I wanted to kind of have a little bit more of a structure in our conversation today. So the first thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to learn a little bit about my audience. And from my understanding, my audience is that you are all college university students, perhaps in your third or fourth year of university, and you are looking for a job. So what I want you to think about is that job search is just like a research paper. Okay, so I hope you can see my slides. Oh, there's an echo. So a job search is just like a research paper. And I'm very sure that you are very familiar with doing a lot of research paper, being in the STEM courses, right? So you pick a topic, you find resources, you do a lot of reading, you take a lot of notes, and then you prepare your paper and you show your professor what you've learned. Searching for a job and getting hired is exactly the same thing, okay? You go find yourself a company or a position. You go do your research. You find websites, you find articles, you find people to connect with, okay? And then you start reading and doing a lot of reading, and you're taking a lot of notes. And then you take those notes and you prepare your resume and your cover letter. Okay. So I want to kind of show you how those steps are kind of done in a very super fast way. So let me stop my, and show you, if I were you, how I would go about applying for a job at Oracle. Okay, so I go to the internet, of course. This is where we first start, right? So I type in Oracle. Okay, you have to go to the company website. Some folks will go to a job search engine like Indeed or Glassdoor. I think those are great. But for the most part, I would caution those sites because most of them are, most of the job postings there are done by the headhunters or recruiters for temporary contract positions. So if you really want to get hired by a company, go directly to the source. So in this case, I Googled Oracle, and look, they even have a direct link for careers. But if your Google search didn't bring up this careers link, you could go directly here and you go look, right? And sometimes it's kind of hidden. That's why I say it's almost like a research paper, because you really have to look. And that's part of the task, okay? So these companies, they really weed out the folks that that they want to hire. So if you can't find their simple career page in their very nice and sleek website, then you need to work harder, okay? And you need to work smarter. And so what happens is you go to their website, oracle.com, and you see all their products, resources. Where is the careers? You got to scroll down. All of these fine prints right here, okay? And it's not even there. But look, it's even in the finer print down here below. I hope you can see my cursor, okay? So you click on careers and behold that you find a whole entire page where they have dedicated information about how to apply at Oracle and what kinds of jobs you can get at Oracle or do at Oracle, what your life would be at Oracle, what's the diversity and inclusion at Oracle is all about, and they even have a page dedicated for students and graduates. This is where you actually start doing the reading, okay? Some folks, what happens is they get so eager, they're like, oh, I found the career page at Oracle, and they go directly to search for jobs. And they don't read all of these other things in the website. And I think that is a big mistake, because it's almost as if, you picked a topic, you found one book, you read it, and then you wrote your paper. But you did not do a complete research on the company. So I would definitely recommend that you go through all of this, right? The overview and get to know us and everything. Life at Oracle, who we are, I think this is very important, because this gives you a sample of exactly who Oracle employs, their background, what they do, okay? And so you can see veterans work at Oracle as well, right? We have a corporate citizenship, meaning that, we think about, we're committed to changing people's lives through education and protecting the planet, okay? We do a lot of volunteers. These are our core values. These are very important. And you take notes on these things, because if you get an interview, these are some of the key words that you want to say back to your interviewer so that they know, oh, this person understands our core values. They could be part of our company. Okay. And then the other thing that I thought was very important in this page is the work we do. Okay. When you're at university, you have majors, right? Computer science, biotechnology, biochemistry. Those keywords are very difficult to find in big companies. Okay, there isn't a straight line for a computer science, and then in the company there's a department called computer science. It doesn't work that way. So what you need to know is what exactly, what kind of types of jobs and departments can my major link to. And this is what this section of this page work we do is important, right? So here, people, folks at Oracle have already divided up the groups where our departments are, right? Oracle Digital, HR, Oracle Consulting, Apps and Clouds. These are more technical. And then the HR and consulting and digital are more like people skills, right? Sales and things like that. So I would definitely, if you're interested in working for Oracle, I would read up on this to see whether or not it matches what you've learned. Okay. And then look at the projects that people have worked on at Oracle, because then you could understand what types of products are used, what types of job titles are used, so that when you search for those jobs, those are the keywords that you're going to use. Okay. I like this too, helping amazing companies. Read their success stories. I would also go into this. The reason being is you want to cast your net for job search wide. If Oracle is your dream job, go for it, right? Do the research and prepare yourself to find a position at Oracle and submit your resume. However, you might also be open to using your skill set and knowledge from college and university to Oracle's customers, right? So if you've learned Oracle Primavera or Oracle Database, or if you've learned Java, perhaps you can also apply at positions in Oracle's customer base, which is very wide, right? So you could go in there and say, hey, I know this, I learned it from Oracle, right? And because they have Oracle products, you would also be a good fit for their for any positions that they have, right? Okay, career opportunities. This basically is the job search. Okay, and again, it is divided in these departments. Is it a sales position that you're after? Engineering and development, consulting, corporate functions, support. I want to kind of just talk about this. So a lot of you are in STEM. So Oracle isn't just employing computer science and engineers. Okay, like I said, my background is biological sciences, but our product set is very wide. Okay, we have products in the health field. So if you are interested in health and technology, perhaps there might be a position there for you. So again, you have to do your own research about these companies and to see where their products are being sold in what sector of the market, right? So just because Oracle is a database company, it's also hardware and software and services, and our products are used in different sectors. We are in the businesses, we are in transportation, we are in finance, we are also, obviously technology. So again, you have to do your research to try to figure out where you would fit in a big company like Oracle. And then finally, there is a place for you. Students and graduates, right? We have certain programs dedicated for students and graduates. And I believe that they actually have, so if you click here, okay, they have divided 4 programs by which they want student interns to be used, right? They have this program, which is a class of, so it's a cadre of college graduate students where they earn business skills. So I'm thinking that this is for sales, solutions engineering, consulting. This one is Oracle NetSuite. Oracle NetSuite is one of our product sets. So if you're interested in that, then that might be for you. Or product development. This is where the computer science and the engineers would go to. Or if you're into marketing, this is where you would go. And then this one is very unique. It's a scholars program for a chance to actually work at Redwood Shores in California. Okay. Again, the employee profiles, I cannot say more things about these people. These folks are folks that I go to because I also work in the education sector, and I actually ask them to volunteer and talk about their careers. But I definitely would click on these and learn to see what their background was, how did they make it, right? Followed their path, and how did they get a position at Oracle? Okay, so if I were to go and look for a job again, I would, let's go back for career opportunities. Okay, sales, let's do overview. Okay, search jobs. Okay, and I'm going to look for this position, developer, San Francisco. And so you see, if I put computer science in here, it would not yield any results. So again, it's important that you find those keywords, key titles that are being used in the industry so that you can understand where to find the jobs. Okay, so I clicked on this machine learning engineer and apply. Oops, I have to do a username, but don't worry, because I've already clicked on this, and hold on. Share, here you go. So I've already saved the position. Okay, so this is the machine learning engineering, and going back to my idea that a job search is like a research project. So let's say I want to apply for this machine learning engineering position. The first thing I do is I take this job description, and I take my highlighter, just like as if I was going to do a research paper and I'm taking notes. I'm going to start highlighting everything that I know I can do. So for example, develops with cloud computing and AI skills. I can do that. Solve some of the hardest AI problems. I'm willing to try that. Okay. I have a BS in computer science. I highlighted that. My programming skills is okay, but yeah, definitely I can brush up on it. I'm very good at Java. I can brush up on Python and C and C++. Okay, so I highlighted that. I have experience, right? So perhaps when you were at college or university, you had a professor that was doing a project on machine learning and AI, and you are already knowledgeable about this. So highlight that, right? You've heard of TensorFlow, okay? You're familiar with all these things. So my point is, you take the job description, you highlight it, and then you start looking at it from a big picture and saying to yourself, is this really a good match for me? And if the job description has a lot of highlight that tells you that, yeah, you're a good match. And what I would do next is I would then start putting little notes besides these things. So for example, strong programming skills in the languages, Java. I would put a little note here on where I learned that, what kind of experience, what kind of projects did I use with those programming skills. Again, if you had a laboratory or some type of experience with AI and machine learning, on this side right here, I would take note and say, this is when I worked a lab with Professor, John Smith. Okay. So now you take all these notes and then you prepare your resume. You really, really have to match your resume to the job description. And that brings me to my next slide. And then after that, I'll entertain some questions. Has anybody heard of ATS? Okay, so I am going to show this to you. ATS is short for Applicant Tracking System. Okay, basically what it is an algorithm. Somebody drew up a code that everybody is now using, and basically that code looks for keywords on the resumes of people. So let's say you submitted a resume and you're trying to figure out, why is it that I can't get called back? What's wrong with my resume? Most likely you are not passing the ATS scan. Okay, because if you can imagine, Oracle will receive thousands of applicants for one job, and there's not a human person that can afford to be able to just sit there and try to figure out if that person is qualified with just the resumes. So we employ ATS, right? So the computer actually sifts through all the application resumes to see whether or not there is a highly good match. That brings me back to my highlighting, right? So your highlighting will show whether or not you're a good match for the position. So the ATS does exactly that. It highlights, it picks up all those keywords in your resume. And if those keywords are not in your resume that they're looking for in their job description, you won't go to the second round. You won't be able to go to the recruiter, okay? Because the computer says you're not a match. So you need to be able to basically conquer the ATS. And there are some sites that does that. One is JobScan, another one is Zeti. They are a paid subscription. However, there is a test, right? So there's a free version of it that you can test. They allow you maybe 2 or 3 scans just to see. Okay, and I've done it. I've tested myself to see whether or not I'm a match for a job. And what would happen is you try your best to match up the job description versus your resume to make those keywords pop out of your resume, so that the ATS would pick you up and it brings you back to the next level of recruiters, the next set of eyes for your resume. And of course, it's very important, just as if like you were submitting a research paper to your professors, please spell check, please do a grammar check, because that is really the biggest no if you submit a resume and it has grammar errors, okay, and spelling errors, okay. And so my biggest takeaway for you guys is, I want you to know that you have been working for the past 3 to 4 years doing hard work at university. You do have some fundamental and foundational skills already. So don't make the job search very scary, okay? You have already problem solving skills. You already have research skills. Now is the time to put them to practice so that you can find that job that you want. And again, just apply the things that you have gained at university so that you can receive the position that you want. And that's all I have to say. So I'm open for questions.
So it looks like we have a couple in the Q&A. The first one is, how would a 1 and 2 year college student without any prior experience apply for a position? Can they also learn while working?
Yes, definitely. I would definitely go into the communities. So depending on what you're learning at university. So for example, if you're a computer science major and you're a developer, we have a developer community. Okay. We also have a women's leadership community. I would definitely start following our social media so that you get to know some of the projects that we're working on. And in that way, you start learning. Okay. I do not believe there might be some limitations for first and second year students in terms of internships, but you know what? You never know. So if you apply a lot of the things that I put in here and you pass the ATS, right? You pass through the ATS and you have all the keywords. I mean, you might be able to be seen by a recruiter and they might ask for you for an internship. So again, the key here is research. You have to know the company. You have to know what they do, where they do it, how they do it, and what kinds of people they hire to do it.
Great, that's super helpful. Couple more questions came in, so thank you guys. Is it sufficient for a new grad who only has a BS in computer science to get into those positions in the ML / AI software engineer or data scientist?
So again, it's the same answer, right? If you do your research and you have enough information, especially if you go through that page for students and graduates, that page is dedicated for people who are looking for jobs that just graduated, that are students. So they do understand that the experience is minimal, right? But again, those positions are very competitive. So you need to you got to do your research. You got to make sure that you know how to sell yourself by learning what they sell, what they do. And you can only do that by doing your research.
I realized I was muted, so sorry. Can you talk a little bit about the types of summer internships that exist at Oracle?
Yeah, so at Oracle, they have those 4 groups that that I highlighted. Let me go back to that page. Hold on. And let me share that with you. Okay, so this is the page. Let me share. Okay, so here in this website right here, find your fit. The positions are in these sections: class of, Oracle NetSuite, and product development. These are the groupings. So I would click this and it talks to you about what they do: business development consultant, solutions engineer, cloud applications, right? And these are the positions available. So if you go back here, apply now, you can start applying now, okay? And they are basically accepting applicants for them, okay? Business development consultant in the Burlington, Massachusetts, and Reston, Virginia. We have one in Austin, okay? So these are the available internships. And again, they are basically grouped in these programs.
Great. So it looks like we're getting a lot of questions kind of around the same thing. Obviously these students are going to be, some of are graduating soon, some are juniors, some even earlier than that, and they are feel that they're lacking in experience. And so in your experience or knowledge, what do you think would pass through an ATS machine if they've had very little to no experience, and how would they prove themselves during an interview that they're capable of doing the internship without much experience?
So experience doesn't necessarily mean job experience, okay? You can also do some volunteer projects, okay? So for example, if you were, I'm going to just, obviously I gravitate towards computer science because of technology, and that's basically the educational background that my program does. So if you were a student in computer science and you don't have a lot of job experience doing that, I would do a volunteer, or I would do my own projects, because what you need to do is you need to showcase your skill set. Okay. I would gain experience for myself. Okay. A lot of developers do this because what they want to do is they want to just develop. They just want to write the code for something to make their life easier. Okay. So for example, if your job, your current job has nothing to do with computer science, let's say you are doing clerical work, right, for your school department, and the department head is just basically has a filing system that is ancient. Why don't you try to put together a database program using Oracle products, right? And it's volunteer, or you don't even have to show it to your department head, right? But I would definitely show it to him and say, hey, you know what? I built this for you guys to make your life easier. Okay, here's a database of all your students, all your class. You have to start thinking like that, because when you are at a big company at Oracle, you're solving problems just like that. How do I do this? How do I do that? And you have to think out of the box. It's not necessarily waiting for your professor to tell you, here is the topic and here's the project, go do it. No, it's not like that. Most likely what will happen is your manager will say, we have this customer and they want to do this and they want to do that. How do you connect it? So you have to figure it out. So gaining experience, you have to do it yourself. You can volunteer, you can create your own personal projects. These are how, Bill Gates started. He just tinkered with computers and he did it himself. He didn't go and apply at Microsoft, right? Because it didn't exist yet, but he didn't go apply at IBM for an internship. What he did was he took the computer and he started playing with it and he started personal gaining experience. That's what you need to do. And I know it's very hard. I have been in your position. I am a first generation college student. My parents did not know anything about what it is that I'm doing. Okay, I had to figure out myself. But what people did not tell me is you can create your own experience, and you can be able to share that with people and say, look, I did this for my community church. I started doing presentations for my community church. Now I have presentation skills, right? I started volunteering at the library to teach kids how to code using Alice or Scratch. Now I have teaching skills. So those are kind of examples of what you could do now. You don't have to wait, right? And I'm pretty sure that at your university or even MESA has some projects like that that you go into the community and you start showing what you're learning and what you want to learn, so that you can show that to future employers that I've gained these skills while I'm at university.
That's so important to know that you can find experience in a lot of different places. It's not just by the book. So that's really great. So thank you so much for that. A couple other questions came in. One is about remote work. And I actually think this is really important right now, obviously with the pandemic. Can you talk a little bit about what Oracle's doing in terms of their internship programs and full-time employees? Is everyone working remotely? Is that the future? What are new positions going to be only remote, or are they hybrid?
So I have been working remote for over 20 years, and even before the pandemic. And I think that is the reason why Larry Ellison, who is the founder, CEO, board president of the company, has decided that, hey, you know what? As long as we provide output, we can work from home as long as we want. We do have offices. Now, there are some people that remote work isn't, it's not for them. They want to be in the offices. So, but right now, everybody is remote. And it's the only hard thing about being remote is trying to make sure that you give yourself a structure and a schedule. So like I said, I've been working remotely even before Oracle because I was part of Sun. And I actually want to show you this. I'm going to show my video. Okay, so if you see this, it says open work, right? The way we work at Sun. And this basically, this, I've had this forever, okay? And it's really funny because I started at Sun in 2000, and now everybody wants to do open work, you know? So Sun was a trendsetter even back then, and now everybody wants to do it. So I've been working remote, and I love it. As working woman and a family, I have a family. I was able to take care of my kids because I was remote. As long as I have my as long as I have my projects done, it's more of quality input at Oracle. Okay. And again, it would depend on your manager. Some groups might want to be inside, once the pandemic is under the control, maybe some folks would want to go into the offices. But again, I think a big company like Oracle, just like everybody, all the other big companies, they're allowing employees to be remote as well as interns. I've seen it. So all you need right now is really a computer and internet connection to be able to do your job.
That's great. That's super helpful. I think right now a lot of students are unsure of what their experience is going to look like in the future, and companies are changing every day. So that's great to know. And actually, you kind of touched on this a little bit. I would love to know your experience as a woman and also a woman of color adapting to company culture, specific at Oracle and then other companies you were at, is especially working from home. How difficult is it, to adapt to that company culture?
In terms, I think year 2020 really showed us that there is inequality in everything, everywhere, right? There is still some inequality in big corporations such as Oracle. However, we do have a great diversity and inclusion program. We are always being invited to learn about cultures of our employees. We celebrate. So, for example, this next month we're going to be celebrating Women's International Day. We are celebrating Black history. So we learn from each other, and there is a big community inside Oracle that supports diversity and inclusion. There's still a lot of work to be done. Okay. There's not a lot of color up in the upper levels of the business. However, we do have a woman leader. So Safra Katz is our president, and she is wonderful. She is a great leader, and she is a great supporter of diversity and inclusion. So I would, and again, you can find all that information in the careers website. It talks about what we do with regards to diversity and inclusion and women leadership.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I know we only have a couple more minutes. I just want to get to a couple of final questions. This one's really quick, I think. Could an applicant who is a senior student apply for both internships and full-time positions, or should they focus really on internships?
Yeah, I like I said, cast a wider net. Why not? You can get called for both. That would be a great problem to have, right? Or you can get called for one or the other. So again, I can't answer that question unless I see your resume and that you've really done your research, right? So if you beat the ATS, you've done your research, and maybe you'll get both, right? And again, that would be a great problem to have.
Absolutely. Okay, and the last question in the Q&A is from Miguel, and he's asking, will recruiters be more lenient for, let's say, recent grads who could not find a position within the first year?
Um, so I don't know how recruiters react towards that, but I definitely, me personally, if you haven't found a position in the next 2 years after graduating, then I would definitely start rethinking your strategy. Okay, because for me personally, then I would think, what's happening with you? Why aren't you getting called backs? And again, that's where I really recommend the big research thing, right? Because that should be your first sign. If you've done your research and you're not getting callbacks, there's something going on that you're not hitting, right? You're not beating the ATS so that you're not going in front of a human person. Your resume is not coming in front of a human being. So you need to figure that out. And I again, if you haven't done your research and you're not getting callbacks, that should be your first sign that there's something wrong. Let's change things up, right? It's like the same research paper, right? You submitted a draft and your professor's like, nah, it's not going to do this. It's a C. It's a C paper. Go do something else, right? And then you go and redo it and think about it, step away from it, think about it, and then put something else together. Okay, so that's what you got to do. Again, I cannot emphasize enough. You guys, okay, I was a college student too. Okay, do not, some people, especially nowadays, right, with the pandemic, some people are rethinking the value of a 4-year college university education. I cannot emphasize this enough. Your experience at college and university, it's not just about going to class and learning the subject matter, but it is the experience, right? It's all of those experience that you have to do. You become independent when you go to college and university. You have to take care of yourself. You have to learn and teach yourself how to eat, right? Because your parents are not around to tell you, hey, it's time for dinner. Hey, it's time for lunch, right? You got to do your laundry. You got to take care of your finances, especially if you're in financial aid like I did. So you already are learning so much being a college student. Don't sell yourself short. Take those experiences and put it in the process of searching and doing research for the job. And I'm telling you, you can get the position that you want. Because I did, and there isn't anything special about me. I'm just like you. So if I could do it, you could definitely do it.
And actually, you just touched on something. If you could describe your position at Oracle, that would be great.
So I am a senior program manager for Oracle's Flagship educational initiative. I started out in education. So I worked for a program very similar to MESA. It was a nonprofit organization in San Francisco where I went and helped do college and career financial aid to high school students. Then I went to Berkeley, and then I got into Sun because, nonprofit wasn't helping pay my college loans. So I went to the private industry and I ended up being a project coordinator for network storage. And I helped at Sun with product managers, so get organized. So basically, I took my skills in being organized at school, okay, and I took that and I said, I can do it. I can go into the offices and help you schedule your meetings and things like that. And then I moved up, and then we got acquired at in 2010. We got acquired by Sun, and because I landed a position in education, they put me at the Oracle Academy program. And what I do now is I manage a global program where I create projects that becomes benefits to our program members. So right now I am working on a virtual conference for faculty members so that they can learn about products that Oracle uses worldwide, and take those products and knowledge and turn it back to their students and say, here are some real life examples of what you will be encountering in the real world, right? So we have a product called Primavera, which is basically similar to, it's a more robust product than Microsoft Project, and it is done and used by construction managers all over the world. But because it is more robust, it's used by bigger projects, like building an airport, supporting NASA, right? So those products, I go talk to the product manager and I knock at their door and I say, can I have you volunteer to talk to these faculty members and teach them about this products? And then I'm going to go and allow them to have access to that software. And so their students can access that software in the classroom, so that when they apply for a job, they already can put in their resume, I know how to use Oracle Primavera and do project management. So that's an example of what I do at Oracle.
Great. Thank you so much. Will, we are a little bit over time, so I'm going to toss it over to Tom to close us out.
All right. Thank you so much, Tzel, for just bucket loads of insight and wisdom that you put out there to our to us today. Hopefully, you are open to having students reach out to you. So if there's a good way for them to do that, let us know. You can share your LinkedIn profile maybe, and maybe accept their LinkedIn requests, or if you want to share your email information. Are you open for connecting with students?
Yeah, I'm definitely open to that. I would rather do, because LinkedIn, I'm not on there all the time.
Okay.
But I am open to entertaining emails. So feel free to email me. And if you want me to look at your resume or even your cover letter together with the resume, feel free to send it over and I could skim through it and give you some insight and some input. I'm happy to kind of be a pseudo mentor for you guys during your job search. I can't promise anything, right? Because I'm not a hiring manager, but I am more than happy to review and provide some input to help you out.
Awesome. Do you want to pop your email address into the chat? And that would be great. Also, I just wanted to re-emphasize a point that Tzel made in her. I was really struck by how you said you need to beat the ATS, and that's a really interesting way to look at it. Like, these companies are so large, and there's so many people, looking for jobs. The first thing that you need to do is construct your professional profile in such a way that and also your application in such a way that it gets past that initial sort of machine that's going to filter through through all the applications and look for all the keywords and key bits of information to get you to a human. So that's a really interesting thing that I feel like I learned today. And in terms of the ATS, those of you who are, you guys are all on Jumpstart, and Jumpstart, companies use Jumpstart and literally connect their Jumpstart to their ATS. So MESA's on there. They don't really have a specific category for organizations like us. So we're technically a company. So when we put a roster together for everybody who's in the MESA community, we literally created a private pseudo job, and they ask for these qualities and names just pop up. So, the more you can sort of populate your Jumpstart profile with the stuff that you've the skills that you have and the experience that you've had, and all those keywords, you could actively go after work, but if you have a filled out profile, it may be that companies will reach out to you because they've created that they're posting a position and they've put that in Jumpstart, and they'll find all the students whose skill sets match what they're looking for. So that's just yet another reason why you should take some time to really work on your profile here on Jumpstart. It's good practice for you to do for the time that you're actually going to be applying for specific positions at Oracle or at other companies. So I think that's about all I have to say for today. Again, Tzel, thank you so much. That was one of the most instructive sessions that I've ever been a part of here. And to all your students.
I totally agree. Sorry, before everyone signs off, there's a link in the chat for the survey. Please fill out the survey so that we can improve our future sessions.
Thanks, Danielle. Now she's going to beat me up because she specifically asked for me to mention that, and she thought that I wasn't going to. But yes, absolutely. Please give us feedback on this session, and we'll keep doing this as long as you guys are interested. And spread the word to your friends. We had a good number of folks here today, but we could certainly accommodate more. We're also working on another series in addition to the company convos, so be on the lookout for that, and post your reactions online. This session is recorded, so we will be posting the recording of this session into the community's timeline very soon. So thank you very much. Brendan, Danielle, and Mindy, if you have any other last words before I stop recording.
Nope, that's a good. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.